technical difficulties. Hello everybody, thank you for coming today for this protest which has been called at very short notice. My name's Naomi Byron, I'm one of the Unison reps at Homerton Hospital for outsourced workers there. I'm also one of the lefts that has just been elected onto the Unison NEC. I'm speaking today in a personal capacity, and I'm sorry to say that strike action is the only language that this government is going to understand over pay. It's the only thing that will make them listen. It's sad that it has to come to health workers striking, but if you look at these health workers in Northern Ireland, they campaigned for years and years, but the only thing that eventually won them equality with pay with workers in NHS workers in England was when they went on strike. That was one of the first strikes after Boris Johnson was elected Prime Minister. And there's many outsourced workers in the NHS, including in the branch that I represent. And outsourced workers have won NHS pay in many trusts, in many hospitals over the last couple of years, even during COVID. There's many places where they've won NHS pay and conditions. There's even places where some of them, like in Imperial in East Lancashire a couple of months ago, where outsourced staff have won the right to be brought back in-house. I'll tell you the one thing that all those victories had in common: they were prepared to take strike action. Anybody, any health worker that isn't already in a union, please join a union today. My union, Unison, has started its consultative ballot on if people are prepared to reject the offer and if they're prepared to vote in favour of strike action. That's running till the 10th of September, and they've said anybody that joins between now and the 3rd of September will have a right to vote in that. I am calling for a reject vote of And when the consultative votes are in, we hope that every union will immediately launch a proper strike ballot and campaign strongly for a yes vote. We are campaigning also for proper information to be done from now about how a health strike can be organised. There's many seasoned campaigners here who know exactly what to do. But if this campaign to win a decent pay rise for all NHS staff is to succeed, then we need to bring all the layers in who've never been on strike, who've never campaigned before, who aren't sure how emergency cover works. Basically, it's when the trade unions decide what emergency cover is and then ask for volunteers to provide it in a strike. It's when ordinary workers in the hospitals decide what is needed and put it into action. Now also, this is an appeal, there's many different unions represented here. We all need in our unions to push for them to coordinate action between them. There's a lot of health unions, some bigger, some smaller, some get loads of publicity, which is great, but one thing I have to warn is that it will be very, very difficult for one health union to win this strike and this struggle by themselves. We need to stand together, we need to make sure that when strike action happens, everybody can come out on the same day. And I would also say, look at the teachers, look at local government workers. Many of them have been offered the same or worse than NHS staff have been offered. I would say we also need to push in our unions for them to coordinate action with other public sector workers. Because if NHS workers cannot win a pay rise in this situation, very few people can. And I would say also that the insulting pay cut represented by 3% is not an isolated thing. It's across the public sector, but also in terms of the NHS, it's part of a wider threat to its existence. For example, the Health and Care Bill threatens the further breakup of the NHS and to open it up even more to privatisation. Our trade unions need to lead the way by organising protests outside Parliament whenever it's debated and organising a national demonstration in the autumn against the Health and Care Bill, but that could also be in defence of the NHS and public sector strike action. Outsourced workers, as other speakers have said, have worse terms and conditions than staff directly employed by the NHS. We need to be involved in this campaign, supporting our health colleagues, but also campaigning for NHS pay and conditions and to be brought back in-house. And what's happening with us, that campaign needs to be coordinated between all the different companies and all the different hospitals and providers in the same way that health workers' strike action needs to be. Now, I want to finish by mentioning why I think the NHS is under threat. Because the Tory party and the class that they represent hates everything that the NHS stands for. The idea that anybody should get health care